So we're discussing how do we bring our true value. And in the previous video, I talk about the first foundational way to do that is know your numbers. That's understanding your numbers, and I explained that. There's a lot to that. The second foundational way is you must show courage. Why? Why do I have to show courage to bring my true value? Well, let's set up the scenario like this. Let's say you've been at this job 5 years, 10 years, and you've presented a proposal or a bill or a change order, whatever works for you, and it's $25,000. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, based on inflation, based on growth of experience, improvement in the product, whatever, it would have been $15,000. And you're going like, oh my gosh, that's a big change. And you're afraid to bring that value to the client, to the customer. It's fear. Well, what are we so afraid of? What do we fear will happen if we explain our true value, if we present our true value? And what it is look, it's obvious, I ran a sales team for 10 years. I mean, I get it. It's like, it's more than they expect. We want to get the deal. We don't want them to get angry at us. We don't want them surprised or shocked, or, we don't want there to be attention. There's a whole lot of reasons, and by the way, this is not about closing the deal. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm simply talking about is, why is it that there are times, not every time, but there are times that we want to trim the number down just a little bit? Because the salespeople would come into my office. Good salespeople even do this, where they go, let's pull it down to like 20. Okay, I think they'll be okay at 20. Well, what are they not okay with at 25? I'm not saying, because I say this in a previous video. It's like you could present 25, right, and discount it. I'm simply talking about what keeps us from presenting our true value. I think it's the fear. It's the fear of all these things. And so what we need to do is bring courage to bear. Now, let's go a little bit further into the fear. I listed all those things that we could be afraid of. You probably, as you're listening to this, you're thinking, well, I'm afraid of this, this, and this. You should mention that. Put those in the comments. I think that would be really helpful. It'd be fun. What are we also afraid of? Because the more stuff we know, the better we're going to be in combating it. I think it boils down to, and see if you can agree with this, I think it boils down to, we fear not being accepted. And that can, ultimately, a hard way to say that is we fear being rejected. But a little softer way to say is we just aren't accepted. And it can actually go into our next reason a little bit about being acceptable. But here's the thing, is like, if we're afraid of that, then it could look like there's a tension that we create. There's this harmony, things, there's a rift. There's kind of, it's kind of choppy. The relationship gets choppy. There's some exchange. We need to change our attitude about that. We need to love presenting our true value. We need to love giving it all we've got. Now, the word courage may not work for you. So I've got some other words that all mean the same thing, and I want you to pick one that works really good for you, because that's what you need to bring to these conversations. Bravery, courageousness, pluck. Just bring some pluck. I like that. Valor, fearlessness, intrepidity, nerve, daring, audacity, boldness, grit, true grit. Kind of like, well, don't be like Rooster Cogburn. He was sort of a rude individual, but just bring the grit part, fearlessness, that's what grit is, right? It's courage. Hardihood, heroism, gallantry. Those are all words that describe courage. Those are all words that mean courage. Now, to come against fear. Years ago, I was a young boy, and my dad took me to this business presentation. It was a series of motivational speakers, and it was in downtown in the big auditorium, and I got all dressed up. I was with all these other business people. It was quite exciting. And, I'm just like amazed by all of this, and these people are all having to go after work, and they're probably exhausted and just want to be home. I just thought this was awesome. And the speaker, and somehow I remember this. He's talking about fear, and he says it's an acronym, and on the screen it's got F.E.A.R. And he goes, fear, and you probably have heard this. I hadn't. I just thought this was the most brilliant thing I'd ever heard. false expectations appearing real. That's what fear is. And so what are we so afraid of? Look, this isn't about closing the sale. It's about just simply presenting your true value. Even if you're going to negotiate, or it's just letting them know the full value is $25,000. So they know this is it. This is what you get. This is who I am. And this is the total value. We're afraid to present that. And that's a false expectation. Well, what are we afraid of? They're going to throw us out of the office and throw all our papers at us and scream at us and say, never come back, No. Well, that's probably a false expectation. Now, honestly, if it actually happened, then it would be a true expectation appearing real. That would be tear and would probably shed a few. That's a little bit of a joke, but I just have to acknowledge that is a remote possibility. To counteract the fear, we need hope. Hope is the antidote to fear. Not all courage is hope, but hope equals courage. And let me share with you a definition I've cultivated over the years, and I want to leave you with this. Hope is allowing desires to blossom into expectation that goodness is coming. So let's break that down. Hope is allowing desires. What's our desire? Our desire is simply to present our true value in freedom, that here's who we are, here it is. When you hire me, when you buy from me, this is the true value of what you're getting. And our desire is that would blossom into an expectation that goodness is coming in that form of a business transaction of some kind. And that it'll be profitable. And we will be valued appropriately for who we are and what our services are. And if you've gone through all the exercises in the previous video, you've kind of to establish your value. Now, pick a word of courage and start applying hope against the fear that you experience. So in the next video, we're going to go to the third foundational piece to bringing your true value, and that's bring self-confidence.